but
Here we go.
anyway, and it was, gosh, I don't know, about 5 or 6 months ago. It was quite a while ago. So, but I talk very fast and I am very passionate about gratitude, and I don't use PowerPoint or anything like that, but I do a number of exercises. So I would like you to just get handy a piece of paper or a pad of paper and a pen and maybe your cell phone, because I do a couple of things on that too. So and as I say, I'll wrap up about a half hour, really, approximately. So I am very passionate about the subject of gratitude, and I've been speaking now for about 10 years. And one of the things that happened to me, I call this maximizing your gratitude attitude. And I make it, as I say, very experiential. So you can have some things you can take away and remember long after I'm done talking that may help you as you kind of frame your life and your mind around being grateful and focusing on what you have versus what you don't have. So as I say, a piece of paper, a pen, cell phone, and the more you participate, the better you will benefit from this. And I used to go into a lot of detail about the trauma that I suffered in my life and lost my parents when I was relatively young, and my wife passed away, and a number of other things have happened to me. And I don't diminish those things as much anymore, as I just don't go into detail about them because it's kind of a sad story. I was looking to find something that was going to help me, and gratitude ultimately ended up being the solution for me. It was very, very helpful. But you do control your own attitude. Every morning you get out of bed, you can get out of bed on the left-hand side of the bed or the right-hand side of the bed. You can get up and be positive, you can be negative, but it's your choice. And you can decide, it's like up or down, or the glass is half full or half empty. I'm a very half full guy. That's kind of the way I am. And I think one of the examples I use, I live in Seattle, Washington. We're the home of Seattle, and across the lake is Bellevue, and that's where Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates and a lot of those people live that are rather wealthy. And there's a floating bridge that goes across there. And years ago, I was running in this race. It was a 10K race, and I went from the golf course across the floating bridge to Husky Stadium. And it was pouring down rain. It was a 10K race, about 6.5 miles. I'm about 2/3 of the way through it, and little kids are passing me. I'm having really a tough time. And I look in front of me, and there's quite a few people that are going up the hump that goes towards University of Washington Stadium. And then as I'm running, I turn around. It's hard to turn around and look behind you when you're running. And I look behind me, it's just thousands of people all the way up to the other side of Mercer Island, or Bellevue is where it's on the other end. And as I turned around and started realizing, as I'm just chugging along, I thought, here's what's interesting. If these people in front of me, there weren't a ton, but if these people in front of me were not here, I would be in first place. I mean, what if all these people had just decided not to come today? Oh, I hurt my thumb, I hurt my finger, or something like that. Guess who'd be out front? So it just depends on how you want to look at something. It's so important. So let's take the pandemic. Goodness gracious, probably the most difficult thing any of us have ever been through in our collective lifetimes. Well, I found there was a few silver linings. One of the huge silver linings for me was Zoom. I did 150 talks in the last 18 months through Zoom, because I talk all around the country and I fly around and go there, and I had to stop flying, of course. Well, Zoom was huge. But I think one of the things that the pandemic forced us to do, I feel there's a number of silver linings. And again, how you look at something. Priorities. I think it helped people reprioritize things. People were quitting their jobs in record numbers and thinking maybe there's something more to life than just working all the time. The technology, I mentioned Zoom, cell phone, internet, there used to not even be bandwidth to allow something like Zoom. And all this time it created with our families when we were forced to stay home. And it was tough at some times, but some of those family dinners you'll never forget, and being together and so on. Whoever thought a vaccine would be put together this quickly? And so I think you look at it differently. There's all these efficiencies. I used to drive an hour. We're the home of Starbucks. Starbucks started in Seattle, and I drive an hour to meet one of my buddies at Starbucks, have an hour drink with a cup of coffee with him, and then I'd come back. Now we meet on Zoom. We have our coffees right here, and we save 2 hours because I don't have to drive all the way to Starbucks and back and save that much money. Conveniences. I couldn't tell you the last time I went in a grocery store. This is what I get. Amazon Fresh. There it is. And it's already ready to go. So I've saved all that time. And maybe the most important thing of all is I think it really helps create community. Community is so important. What is Rotary? Motorcycling, Rotary, and what have you. It's service above self. It's getting together, it's sharing things and really helping people, which I think is what service above self stands for. So it depends on how you look at it. So here's the first exercise. I want you to go to your pad of paper, and I want you to write 2 words. You are, Y-O-U-A-R-E. 2 words, Y-O-U-A-R-E. And then what I want you to do is that for the next, I'll give you 45 seconds. For the next 45 seconds, I want you to pretend you are your biggest cheerleader, whoever that might be, your husband, your wife, your mom, your dad, your best friend, whoever thinks you're the cat's meow. I want you to be that person for 45 seconds. And I want you to write as many things as they would write about you. You are talented. You are funny. You are engaging. However they would describe you, write as many things as you can that they would write about you. 45 seconds, go. Okay, and stop. And so it took you 30 to 45 seconds to write those all down. But what I'd like you to do, you're all pretty much by yourself, so it's just you and the things that you wrote. I'd like you to silently reread those 6 or 8 or 10 ways they describe you. You are this type of person. Read down through those slowly, and by a show of hands into the Zoom screen, how many people after reading those 8 or 10 qualities about you feel better about themselves? High five to the screen if you feel better. Look at the Rotarians. As usual, it's almost everyone, every person. So hold on.
That was easy.
Yes, that was easy, because that's exactly what happens when you focus on what you have. My father happened to take his own life, which I was very sad about when I was younger, but he was very negative. So you can decide. Somebody once asked me, I like that UR card exercise. How come you don't have people describe their shortcomings? I said, what is this? The negative hour with Dave? This is gardening or something. This is about how you focus on things that you have in your life. So when you can see that, that's what gratitude will do for you by focusing on your blessings and not your abundance. Now, there's some people, nobody here, I'm sure, but some people you can give them all day long and think about the positives, and you'll still say it's a sunny day out, and they'll go, well, the rain's coming tomorrow. There's always going to be people like that. But my tip, my gratitude tip is I would take those qualities that you wrote, put them on a little card like this. When I'm in person, I hand out these cards, and write down those 6 or 8 or 10 qualities that that person would describe you, your biggest cheerleader, and put it on your bulletin board, put it on your refrigerator, your computer, somewhere where you can access it on a regular basis, because it can really help you on the days you're not doing so well. So that's how you look at gratitude. Embracing gratitude's power. One of my favorite sayings is gratitude turns what you have into enough. It absolutely helps you focus on everything you have. I think it's pretty well known that 2 people enter a hospital, the person with the same disease, the person with the good attitude lives, the person with the bad attitude dies. And I remember years ago, this is how powerful gratitude can be. So when it's probably now about 40 or 50 years ago, I learned how to fly. And I was going with my instructor, and he's going through the lesson for the day. And he says, this is way back in like the 80s. And he says, now I want you to think about today and really be listening. I'm going to listen to me carefully, and you will be grateful. That's the word he used all those years ago. If you pay attention to what I'm talking about today. So turns out it was about what happens when you get in the clouds and you get in weather situations and you get disoriented. And so he said, pay attention. He says, always listen to your instruments. Always believe your instruments. I don't care what your head says, your heart says, your stomach says. If it says something different, you believe those instruments. So sure, I said, okay, Jay. And I listened to him. He says, you'll be grateful. I said, thank you. About 6 months later, I'm flying along in this little airplane that I bought, and I've got 3 friends, and we're flying down to Ocean Shores, which is down on the Pacific Ocean, about 30 minutes away by airplane. All of a sudden, I get into a storm, and I get kind of confused, and I get disoriented, otherwise known as vertigo. And I look on my turn and bank indicator. The plane is in a 60-degree bank turn to the right, and it's turning further, like towards 90 degrees. And I don't have to tell you what happens when the plane turns like that and what ultimately can happen. And I remembered what Jay did. He said, and he said, you believe those instruments. So I turned the little heading bug on, which brought the plane like straight like this. And then I thought I was upside down. I had a horrible case of vertigo, but I never forgot what he said. And I stuck with it and I pulled the nose up and kept climbing, climbing, climbing. Finally got above the clouds and I told my friends, probably not the best day to go for lunch at Ocean Shores. We're going to go back to Seattle, but essentially it saved my life. And that was a good example. It can be that powerful for you. So a gratitude tip. I'm a huge believer in exercise. I walk 7 to 8 miles every single day. No excuses, whether it rains or it's cold in Seattle or whatever. Exercise is the key to a long life. There's other things too, but one of the things you'll hear in the most books and the most podcasts and all that is exercise is such a key. I recommend you do a walk during the day and make it a gratitude walk and focus on something you're grateful for. Get your exercise out there and focus on something you're grateful for. And it can make such a difference in you mentally and certainly physically, which is even maybe more important in some cases. If your body doesn't work very well, it's going to be tough on you altogether. So I think something that is really important to me is the science of gratitude. When I talk about, this is not some woo-woo thing that I just made up or I listened to a couple of faith healers or something like that. So I have some studies and research about gratitude that I'm going to tell you about, and I'm going to read it. And I do read kind of fast, but there's a number of things I want you to hear that are kind of interesting about how this relates to us as humans in gratitude. It says these recent studies and research, appreciating what we have measurably improves our relationships, our life satisfaction, our health, our sleep, and it improves our physical health, leading to fewer aches and pains, lower blood pressure, and less depression. Grateful people are more likely to take care of their health, exercise more often, I just talked about that, and schedule regular checkups. Gratitude reduces toxic emotions like envy, resentment, frustration, anger, and aggression, and enhances positive emotions like empathy, caring, and sympathy. Too much of our time is spent pursuing things we currently don't have. Gratitude reverses that and realigns our priorities to appreciate what we currently have. Humans are built to attend to all things that go, to pay attention to all things that go badly in our lives. So you have to kind of work against that. Happiness is rarely constant. So although happiness is a fantastic goal, gratitude for the tools that get you there are more important. How easily we can lose sight of everything we had to be thankful for in our lives. Think about this last 18 months. Really, really true. We are our own worst critics and we hold ourselves to impossible standards and we continually compare ourselves to others. That's why I like that You Are card, because you're talking about all the qualities and all the good things that are on the positive side of you, and it puts you in a better mood based on how many people, 2/3 of the people that raise their hand. Science says that the more you choose positive and kind words to describe yourself, your health, your body, and your progress, the less anxiety you will experience. A recent study concluded that people that wrote in a gratitude journal, I happen to sell a lot of gratitude journals, that gratitude guys, gratitude journal. I'll put a link in the chat if anybody's interested. It costs $20 and it's just a great way to write your feelings down every day. That people that participate in gratitude in the gratitude journal have significantly less gossip and other toxic behaviors in the workplace. And lastly, people that feel good about themselves in their lives are kinder to others. And I read a survey recently that said something to the effect of people that have a purpose and a meaning to their life live 7 to 10 years longer. So it can actually increase the time of your life too, or the length of your life as well. So, all right, next exercise. So here's what I'd like you to do. I'll give you a minute on this one. And what I'd like you to do is I would like you to take that pen and paper. And this is going to sound like a big assignment, but I just want you to write as many things as you can in a minute. And that is, I would like you to write down as best you can in priority order, the most memorable events of your life. What are the things that impacted you more than anything else? It could be husbands, wives, kids, trips, education, all sorts of things, experiences, whatever those most memorable events of your life are, write those down and try to put them in priority order. And I'll give you about a minute. Go. Okay, and stop. And that's obviously kind of a big assignment, but here's what I'd like you to do. Today is Wednesday, February 9th. I would like you to all promise me something. So before you know what it is, you have to raise your hand and tell me you'll promise you'll do what I ask you to do. So I want to see how many people will do it before they even know what it is. Excellent. I'll tell you, Rotarians are the best. I'm actually a member of Seattle 4 and it's got like 600 members. It's crazy. Thank you. So here's the assignment. Between now and a week from today, I would like you to take that list and write it on maybe a Word doc or an Excel spreadsheet or something and put it in priority order. And then I want you to choose the very most important thing. So the number one thing and most memorable event of my life is the birth of my younger son. And number two is the birth of my older son. And I've got pictures here of airplanes and all this stuff. I've spoken to 10,000 soldiers at Joint Base Lewis McChord, our military base. I've done all these things. Nothing's more important than the birth of my younger son and my older son. So whatever that is, put that in priority order. And then this is what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to make it one of three things: a top 25 list, a top 50 list, or a top 100 list, whatever you want. It's up to you. But fill that out when you have a little more time to think about it than just on the spot during this presentation. And then when you're done, print it up, put it on the bulletin board, put it on the refrigerator, keep it on your desktop, on your computer, or somewhere that you can access that. Because what happened is about a year ago, I started doing this exercise. And I was sitting in there looking at a map of all the places I'd spoken in the United States. Here I have it because it's all over the country. And I'm very, very blessed to get to take this message to many, many places. But I started thinking about it. I haven't been to Greece. I haven't been to Italy. I haven't been to France. And I started thinking about these places I haven't gone. I thought, what are you doing? You're the gratitude guy, for gosh sakes. You should be focusing on what you have. So I went down and put it, and I put together a top 100 list. And I'm telling you, on a day when you are not feeling well, you go down and you look at what you've done in your life and you see all those blessings and all that abundance you have and all those most memorable events. It'll completely change your mindset. And by the way, when you look at the UR card and when you look at the most memorable events, and then you talk, I'm going to talk about a gratitude journal next, and you focus on those things and you're still having a bad day, you know what the solution is? Just get to the next day. There's some days things just don't work, but you can try everything you can. And in that case, get to bed early, try to get a good night's sleep, and chances are things will be better the next day. So back to a show of hands, how many people have heard of a gratitude journal? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's sometimes it's not as many as I would thought. Well, when I was going through some of the depression that I dealt with and losing my folks and losing my wife, and I talked to a friend, he says, I've got some advice for you. You need to get a gratitude journal. And I said, what is that? And he said, well, it's a little journal or a book you write in every day, all the things you're grateful for. So I ordered one on Amazon, started doing it, started writing in it, and it made a huge difference to me. And this is the one that I sell. And every day I write in that without fail. And so the way it's formatted, you're not going to be able to see it all that well. But on the left-hand side, it says gratitude today. It says the day and the date, Wednesday, February 9th. There's a daily number, which we'll get to in a second. And then it has a couple of lines for what's going on in your life. So you don't have to have a diary. I can go by talking to the motorcycle Rotarians or whatever it might be. I mentioned what I'm doing. 4 or 5 lines for what you're grateful for. Then there's 2 lines for the highlight of your day. And then on the right-hand side is everything you're going to be grateful for that hasn't even happened yet. Your subconscious mind is in your prefrontal cortex, and it cannot distinguish between what you think is going to happen and what has actually happened. I can program my brain and say, I'm so grateful to be speaking to thousands of people. Pretty soon there was 1,000. Then I said 10,000. And then I said 1 million at one point. I have one video on YouTube has 1 million views. So it's interesting how you can program it. So let's do a little exercise with the gratitude journal. Back to your piece of paper again. Here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to think about I call this your daily number. Now, this is very personal. You're not going to share this with anybody. And it's just you. And so the number is 1 to 10. You pick out that number. So it's like, I think it's 6:20 p.m. for you folks. It's 4:20 for me. So Wednesday, February 9th at 6:20 p.m. How do you feel? 10 is maybe one of the best days of your life, and 1 is a challenging day. So wherever you are right now, write that number down, and you can do halves if you want. If you're doing pretty good, maybe you're 7.5, whatever it is, kind of take your temperature, write that number down and put a circle around it. Okay, and as I said, we're not sharing this with anybody else or me. I'm not going to call anybody. It's very personal. I just want to illustrate how this can work. Okay, next, I want you to write numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, because you're going to write 4 things right underneath that daily number that you just wrote down. Okay, and I'll give you about 30 seconds for this. Number 1, number 2, and number 3, I want you to write down in order. If you could only pick one thing in your entire life, what are you most grateful for? One thing, put that at 1. 2 things, put down number 2, and 3 things, put down number 3. So the top 3 things you are most grateful for in your entire life, put those down at 1, 2, and 3, and I'll give you about 20, 30 seconds. Okay, number 4, this might require thinking a little bit about it. The day is mostly done today. And what was the highlight of your day today? And if you can't think of today, maybe yesterday. What was the best thing that happened to you today or yesterday? Think about that a second, just the pure highlight, and write that down at number 4. I'll give you about 10, 15 seconds to think about that. Okay, I think most everybody's got it. All right, just like the other exercise, it always takes a little longer to write something down. It's much quicker to read it. So I would like you to reread the 3 things you are most grateful for in the highlight of your day yesterday at number 4. And below that, I want you to write another daily number. Could be the same number, could have changed. Whatever that is, write that down at the bottom of those 4 things after you've read through those silently and put a circle around it. All right, back to the show of hands. By a show of hands, you can do thumbs up too. How many people's number from the top to the bottom went up? Give me with a show of hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Once again,
That was easy.
just as I said before, that's a 60-second example of what writing in a gratitude journal can do for you. And there's a little saying, it's a little tougher to see it on Zoom, but it says on the 2nd or 3rd page in here, it's how I kind of describe the journal. If you think about it, it's like a dream. If you talk about it, it inspires you. But if you write about it, it empowers you. There is something about writing. I am so grateful to Deb for inviting me to the Motorcycle Rotary Club to speak today and so forth. It plants it in your brain. And I'm just judging by looking at the people here. I got a good shot at being the oldest guy here. I just turned 72. And I'll tell you, life has flown by. And it's like, I was just in high school a couple of years ago. What happened? And so you want to exercise your brain too. So when you write, they talk about crossword puzzles and things like that. When you write things down, it plants it better here, and it really does empower you. So, okay, so I like to poll my audience. So write down my text number, 206-371-8309. 206-371-8309. And I just want you to text me what's the number 1 thing you're grateful for. I always kind of like to see it changes a lot when I speak in churches and huge corporations and conventions and things. So 206-371-8309. Just text me what you're grateful for. And I will tell you this.
Could you put the number, David?
206-371-8309. Just the number 1 thing you're grateful for. And I used to have a journal that was called the Brooker's Daily Gratitude Journal, because that was my nickname in college. And so it's interesting. I think it's so important to pedal your own bike. I'll be the training wheels, but I'm not going to pedal your bike. And so my friends would call me the Brooker, and I was always pretty motivated. So they call me, I need a dose of the Brooker. I need some inspiration. I need some motivation. Brooker, can you get me started? I'm having a tough day. So now that I become a speaker, I've been speaking now for about 10 years and get to go around the country, as I mentioned. They call me now and they go, I need a dose of the Brooker. And I go, before we go any further, have you written in your gratitude journal yet? And they go, no. So I just hang up on them. I just hit the button. It just hangs up on it. And they call back in 5 seconds and go, I think we got cut off. I go, no, we didn't. I said, I hung up on you. Go write in your gratitude journal, then come and talk to me. Like I said, I'll be the training wheels, but I'm not going to pedal your bike. You've got to take some responsibility for this, because the person that we would want to get to know the best is the person we see in the mirror. And the only person that can really change your mindset and change it from a negative to a positive, or from ungrateful to a grateful, is the person you see when you're brushing your teeth in the morning. So very, very important. So, and then I tell people ask me a lot, what's just the one tip that you can give me that more than anything else from your talk, your half-hour talk, I'm going to be done in about 3-4 minutes, and your talk, what's the biggest thing? And I say, you know what, just write one thing down. Just start with one thing, one idea, one sentence, one word, and do it again tomorrow. And then maybe you move from a word to a sentence to a couple of things. And then eventually when you're writing that much, because you will see what a difference it makes. And it's so very important. So people ask me a lot, how can I get more gratitude in my life? And so one of the things that I mentioned is the gratitude journal. It's that Gratitude Guys daily gratitude journal. In the chat, I put a link to that on Amazon if you'd like. They're $20. And I also have a link because I do a lot of coaching. People need a lot of support. I do gratitude coaching, and there's a little link to my scheduler in there if you're interested in a 30-minute complimentary consultation. And then the last thing is that for those that are interested, in Monday morning or on Monday mornings, I send out a 60-second video on gratitude every single morning, or every single Monday rather, at 60 seconds at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's a different subject on gratitude every week, and it's a way to get people kind of fired up for the week. And so if you're interested in that, here's what you do. You go to your text on your phone, and you go to the number 22828. That's the number you put in the number box, 22828, 5 digits. And in the message box, you put in Gratitude Guy, all one word. And if you text the 22828 in the message box, Gratitude Guy, hit send, it'll send you a link and you can get signed up for that. So, all right, last thing I'm going to talk about today is the thing I'm probably the most passionate about, and that's sharing gratitude. There's something about people in life and things that when you find really good news or really bad news in your life, you want to share it. You know, if something terrible happens to you, who am I going to call that's going to give me support? Or if something really great happens, who am I going to call to share it with them? So what I want you to do is I want you to take 60 seconds, grab your cell phones, if you would, please. For those of you that have your cell phones, I call this the 4 T's, as in telephone, text, tweet, and tell. And in the next 60 seconds, I would like you to text whoever you want and tell them how grateful you are to have them in your life. I don't care who it is, but just make sure you use the word grateful. Text them and tell them how grateful you are to have them in your life. And I'll give you 60 seconds, go. Okay, and there's about 60 seconds. If you need to finish it, go ahead with it. But this one's really fun to me because I do it in person a lot when I'm in front of these big audiences. And it's after I have people come up after the talk and buy the books and the gratitude journals, they always want to show me their phone and show me the text. And so somebody came up one day and they showed me their text from telling somebody they were so grateful to have them in their life. And the answer came back, I'm grateful for you too. What do you want? Man, just trying to be nice here. And then another lady showed me her phone and it said, are you sure you sent this to the right person? Oh, God. Just trying to spread some gratitude. But one day I was at a performing arts center and it was a live thing where the seats went up kind of at an angle. And I say the 4 T's, telephone, text, tweet, or tell. So this person used the telephone. And I know we don't use this as much for the phone as we do texting and other things, but I could hear her about 10 feet away. And I'm on the stage behind the podium and she says, I can hear her talking. Hi, honey. I'm just so grateful for you. I wanted to be sure and tell you I appreciate you. And I'm just so grateful to have you in my life. And I'm kind of listening to her, and she said the word grateful, and it's just so, there's so many things you do for me. I'm just very grateful. I don't know. Some speaker just told me to call you and tell you. I just went, man, you're missing the point here. It's supposed to be coming from you. So it's so important. But those are some of the things I tell people all the time, that I feel gratitude changed my life. In many ways, it transformed my life. And in some ways, it really kind of saved my life, whether it was dealing with the loss of my mom or dad or my wife. She was 38 years old when she passed away. My sons were 4 and 14. She died of a prescription pill overdose. Gratitude got me through that. My dad's suicide, all these things. And it can change, transform, and save your life too, if you give it a chance. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, David.
You bet. You bet.
So David, I have a comment. You were talking earlier about, your personal responsibility and how you feel. You can get out of bed, you can be positive or negative.
Mhm.
One of the quotes that I learned a long time ago that I have stuck by, and I believe the quote was Eleanor Roosevelt, but I could be wrong. But the quote was, "Nobody can make you feel bad without your permission."
Oh, that's a great one. It's a great one because it's such a good point, because one of the 3 words I guess it started with is anybody who starts a sentence with "you don't understand." I just think, oh boy, here comes an excuse, because they're going to, well, I'm going to help you. No, David, you don't understand. I go, you can save it. But that's so true. It's kind of like, that reminds me of what somebody else thinks of you is none of your business. And so it's that same thing, because it's all about that. If you have a good relationship with yourself, your whole world, your whole life just works better. So how do you get it? Well, I maintain focusing on gratitude and spending that. This just takes me 5 minutes every morning. It's part of my power hour when I meditate, and before I even crack the computer and do my stretching and write in the gratitude journal, get my big glass of water. And, that relationship, if you can continue to get that, build that, make that stronger with that person, as I say, brushing your teeth, life works a lot better. But that's a great quote. Thank you. Yeah, I really like that. So, all right, everybody. Any other questions? I never get a lot of questions. They're always one, man, that guy talks fast. Holy old cow. So anything
True.
else?
That's very true with the fast speaking. It's hard, but I understand everything. So I was happy about that.
Good. Good. At least I don't slur the words. Well, listen, thank you so much. Great luck to all you Rotarians. Like I said, I'm a fellow Rotarian, and I love what Rotary does. So thank you all so much.
But maybe you jump in another day and watch about.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's fine. Yeah, you're invited.
Absolutely. I like you guys. You guys are good. And like I say, I haven't met many Rotarians. I met one day, I was talking to a guy at Seattle Rotary, and it's big. And I said, what's his name? Frank. And I said, Frank, everybody I've met, I just really like. All you Rotarians are fantastic. He goes, clearly you haven't met everybody. I went, oh, nice. Nice. That's nice. So, but everybody's great. So listen, thank you all so much. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Really nice.
Very good
That was a
speaker.
great presentation.
Yeah, I think so too. You're muted, Keith. I'm sorry.
It was fast, but it was good.
He's a guy, Speedy Gonzalez with the gratitudes, But it was very, I like the practical stuff, and it's good to think about it, When I sent my husband the text and I said, I'm very grateful I have you in my life, he sent me a question sign back, like this. And then, it's funny. Yeah.
Jeff went and got me a refreshed martini.
That's nice.
Are you drinking a martini too? So am I. I didn't dare text my wife because she'd want to know right away what I did wrong today.
Well, he was listening.
I don't want to tell her that. So,
But everybody was laughing tonight, so it was a good meeting, I think, It was really nice. And John, I liked your comment. I'm handicapped. I don't know how to
Not at
text.
all.
That was funny. Yes. Who's leaving us right now?
So I'm grateful for you, dear. Thank you.
Yeah, but I think
is that a 3 olive martini or just one?
Well, I already had 2 olives, so this is my third. Too
oh,
much sodium, and I have trouble with my legs at night. So
Oh,
Okay.
He loves me.
Me not either, John. I'm not a tweeter as well. So no T, no fourth T, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it was really nice. Thank you guys. So who was oh Keith? No, Keith is there. Who left us already? Oh, David, can I ask you to lead the meeting at the 23rd for me?
I'm not gonna be here on the 23rd. We're gonna be out of town. I get to
Not-
go to the Keys. Woohoo.
You
I
go to
won't
the
get-
Keith?
Yeah,
To the Keys?
Association of General Contractors. I get
Oh,
to be a
okay.
+1.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
Okay,
And Mickey,
thank
is
you.
the truckers affected where you are?
Well, if I was in the automotive industry, I'd be singing a sad song and probably stressing out on the phone, but I am grateful that I am retired and I'm not dealing with it. I'm grateful to be out of logistics and the transportation industry at the moment in the automotive industry, because if I was working for Ford or any of the parts suppliers for the automotive right now, I would be pulling my hair out. Because that is a big problem.
Okay, so you're going to the Keith and visiting Keith, right?
No. Well, heck, maybe I could.
Yeah, maybe it's not
But yeah,
far
no, I'm
away.
going to the Keys. Yeah, we're going for the Association of General Contractors. They've got a convention down there.
Okay, that's nice. Yeah. So
That's
I'll be
hard to
gone.
say.
I won't see you guys again until probably March 9th. A week from
So-
today, I'm flying out to Guatemala and I'll be down there. And if I don't
What do you-
catch COVID down there, I'll get back somewhere the week before or a few days before March 9th.
so you're staying
When
3 weeks,
when are
right?
you leaving, Gary?
I leave next Wednesday morning. I got a 6 a.m. flight, which my wife realizes that she's got to get up now at 3 a.m. to drive me. I
Oops.
get back on the first I get back 12:30 a.m. on the 2nd of March.
Mhm.
Who's your travel planner? Not doing a
He's gotta
very
get
good
up there.
job.
Whatever. And then where I screwed up is I got to be in Chicago that night for work I'm doing on the 3rd. So I got a lot I got to get done between now and then.
I want to say it's pretty busy, right? It was the same when you stopped in Houston. It was a day and then the next day and then you're leaving up back home, right?
I got a report I have to have done by Friday on that project. And then I got to quit working. It's really interfering in my personal life.
Funny.
Pays good, but that's it.
Mhm.
It's
My
fun.
wife just read my message that I appreciate her. And she said, oh, did your rotary speaker tell you to say that?
See, all you guys got sucked in. You all got sucked in.
I'm gonna
He
lie.
knows you well, Dick.
I'm gonna lie. No.
But you guys, what it shows is maybe we have to say that more often to the ones that are really important to us. And that shows it, I think. And then you remind us, maybe we have to do that more often.
When she came in the room, I stood up and gave her a hug during the presentation. So I think I get something for that.
I think
Some
that counts.
credit.
Yeah.
Get to
That
breathe 24 more hours.
Oh, you know our deal.
I'll tell you something I'm grateful for. A couple hours ago, a package arrived here from David. I've got 120 pair of glasses that have been sorted and graded and all set for me to set up down in Guatemala. So
Good job.
now he's only got 500 pair more to go.
I did nothing. It was all Rotoractors. So
That's awesome.
we'll tell them you said that that you appreciate it though.
Oh, I really did. I'll try and get good pictures down there.
That'll be great.
Okay.
You know, that just shows you right there how great Rotary is. Not only are we cooperating and working with each other, but then you've got the young folks getting involved and doing it as well. And that's what makes this organization grow.
Hopefully, the thing is that there is a gap between, they're really active as a roto actor, and then when they're getting closer, there is a gap in the between, and we should do something in the between, to keep them on track. That's the thing. Normally it'd have to be interact, rotoact, and then go to a Rotarian. And now it's not that bad anymore, but there was a while where the people, when you want to join a club, you have to show up to the meetings every day. And especially when they starting with the job, they have not the time to do that most of the time. So, and the Zoom meetings give us a possibility, or maybe that they are not that, how you say that, strong or not strong, strict with the attendant anymore. There are clubs after, in the pandemic, they had to stop the club meetings. So right now they changed it on every other week. It's not every week anymore. Or we have a big club in Houston here. They make it, they make a really huge program every 4 weeks. So they make it, only 4-week one meeting. So it's more flexible now. It was more in one, schema before, but now it's more open. I think that would be good for young people as well, because they have not the schedule. When you just started a job, you cannot say, oh, maybe I'm going for lunch with my Rotary persons and then I'm staying 1.5, 2 hours in the meeting. Most of the time it's not possible for the younger people. This is my experience, only mine. And the most of the clubs meet very early in Houston or lunchtime. We have only, I think, 3 clubs in the evening.
When
How
I
many
was
clubs
governor,
total in
last
Houston?
one,
Excuse me?
How many clubs total in Houston?
62.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. On a, because it's a city, it's so Chris, when he was district governor, he hadn't go that far. Of course, there's also a little distance, but the district is 5890. It's really, the most of them are in the city and a little bit in the country outside. And it goes close, to Freeport, so more to the coast down there. But Galveston is another district. It's 5910. So, and this is a very spread district, 5910. So there you have to go a while, but Houston is not that bad. It's really close together.
when I was governor 15 years ago, we had 52 clubs, I think, something like that anyway. It took it took little more than 3 months to do all my club visits because of Tuesday noon.
They are all Tuesdays?
14 Tuesday noon clubs.
Yeah.
And I wonder how many clubs around the world are Tuesday noon.
Yeah, no, we have all that. The best was in the country. I love the small clubs because I was visiting, I think 70% all the clubs. The only thing what I not did was standing up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to one club, that was a little bit too early for me as a spouse, so, but I visited, I think 70% of all the clubs I visited with Chris, and it was really interesting because I was only a couple of months in the country. So he gave me 4 weeks and then he brought me to all the meetings. That was his year. So it was a hard challenge for me, even with the language. Sometimes I was not really understanding what he was talking about.
You didn't memorize his speech?
Of course, but I couldn't understand everything, over the time. Of course, when you hear that so many times, of course, you know what he's talking about, but my English was not that good at this time. So I could not have normal conversation. That was not possible.
Just before I became governor, about a month or two before, my club had a party in which they honored my wife, not me. They honored her and they gave her all these gifts to help her get through the year of being my wife as governor. They gave her toothpicks to keep her eyes open. They gave her these glasses that had built-in eyeballs so she could sleep behind them. They gave her a, you know, a tiara and everything else too. They treated her way better than they ever treated me. But that's your own club. You're never a celebrity in your own club. I think I had the most fun in the Canadian clubs. We had 8 of those at the time. I had a lot of fun with those guys.
Yes. Yeah, guys, so it was a quick meeting. Unbelievable, right? He was fast. He was fast speaking and he was completely fast. PM. So, so I'm
I
sorry.
hate to
David.
do it. I've got to work yet tonight, so I'm gonna say bye to you guys.
Yeah, I need to.
I really appreciated seeing everybody. I am.
So who want, before you leave, who wanna make the 4-way test? Or I will do it tonight, okay?
Gary, have a good trip.
For the
Thank you,
end of
guys.
the meeting, yeah. That's for sure.
I can do
No.
it if you want me to.
Yes, yes, of course, Mickey, that would be nice.
Okay, the 4-way test of the things we
We
think,
think.
say, or do. Number 1, is it the
It's the
truth?
Truth.
Number 2, is it
Is it
fair
fair
to
to
all
all
concerned?
concerned?
Number 3,
Will
will
it
it build
build
goodwill
goodwill
and
and
better
better
friendships? Number 4, will it be beneficial
beneficial
to
to
all
all
concerned?
concerned?
And number 5,
Is it
Will
fun?
it be fun?
Exactly. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, guys. Have a
all
good
righty,
night.
see y'all
Bye.
later.
Bye, bye, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.